Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama. Thank you for joining me for another episode. My guest this week is Vanessa. She runs the Etsy shop NessieCraft, and we're going to be talking all about her journey on Etsy and just briefly about one of my obsessions, the Loch Ness monster, which is kind of her shop logo, and we chatted about it earlier. But Vanessa, thank you so much for being my guest and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, why did you decide on the Loch Ness monster?
Mostly because my nickname forever has been Nessie. So like when a friend from college went to Scotland, I got the Nessie stuffed animal and that kind of stuff when they came back.
Yes.
And I've always had an interest in like cryptids and all of that kind of stuff. I just think they're really entertaining.
Yes. So do you believe?
Right. Oh, why not? I mean, there's so many things you can't explain in the world. Why could there not be the Nessie?
Yes, I too do. I love a good conspiracy theory and sighting story. So yeah. Now, if I saw it myself, I don't know what I would do, but
I would probably run for the hills.
Yeah. Me too. But I enjoy hearing from other people who have seen it or, claim to have seen it. That's good enough for me.
Yes, I mean, I'm good with that. Like, I would also forget, like, that would be the day my camera would have no batteries or I would have forgotten to put the card in it.
Right, yes.
So it would be like, I swear I saw it.
I know. I promise you it was there. It was really there.
Yes.
So, okay. So tell us, what do you make and sell on Etsy?
Right now, I am making stickers. I've focused on planner stickers for a while. I'm trying to do more of like fine art stuff. Fine art is a loose term. Mm-hmm. I'd like to add more of those kinds of things. I really like bookbinding and making, I call them mixed media journals, or they're also called junk journals.
Yeah.
But with a 2-year-old, there's a lot of pieces that go in those. And if I'm not watching what he's doing, they disappear very easily.
Yeah.
So we've put a little hiatus on those for a little while.
Okay.
But yeah, it's stickers and other art related things.
Okay. And how did you first discover Etsy? Like, how did it come about that you decided to sell on Etsy? Because I know there's a story.
I think the first time I ever heard about it, I had 2 friends in college that were always about like whatever the new and biggest thing was. Mm. And they had bought stuff off of Etsy and were talking about it. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I went and looked it up and I was like, well, I think I could do that. Because, I mean, in college, like we'd tried to start. So we were going to do craft shows and make, I think it was, my roommate then was from Hawaii. And she was going to go to the swap meet and buy quilt squares. And we were going to make like coasters. So I always had grand dreams if we were going to do craft shows and things and never followed through. And I tried Etsy. I actually had a soap shop first.
Oh.
And I really enjoy making soap, but in my area, like we tried 3 or 4 craft shows and I was lucky if I could make my table money back for a cheap table because there were like 8 or 10 of us there.
Yeah.
And it was one of those that was like, this is a very expensive hobby. And there's only I think that was 4 or 5 years ago when we finally used the last bar of soap that I had made last week.
Wow.
Because I had made a lot of it and I had given it to everybody you can think of for Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
To the point where people were like, I really don't need.
I'm clean.
And yes. Yeah. It's like, I don't need any more soap, but thanks.
Now, Vanessa, did you ever try to sell the soap online or you only sold it in person?
To be honest, I put it online, a little bit of it online, but I got really like nervous about all of the rules and I didn't want to do something wrong. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know what the rules are for my area, but I didn't want to, I was really nervous about selling something online with the soap, even though I was following all the directions and I'd done all the research, but I was just like, there are so many other people doing this. I'm doing it better than I am.
Yeah.
That I was like, no, we'll go back to, I had also been doing at the same time I had been making junk journals, but I would post them in like groups I was in online and people would be like, hey, can I buy this? And I was like, sure. And I didn't know how to, I mean, I didn't have the capability to take a credit card, obviously, like over Facebook, but I was like, well, I'll put it on my Etsy shop. So I had the soap stuff, but the things that I was actually selling were all of the junk journals and things. So I was like, well, maybe we'll just get rid of the soap and stick with these other things because I like making them.
Yeah.
And I went, when I was in college, my first degree was in graphic design, and like one of my favorite classes was text is art. And we had to do an altered book as like our final project. So it kind of was one of those things that I had done and then put away and come back to. So after that, I was like, you know what, we'll just keep the soap for gifts someday when they run out.
Yeah.
And I'll go try this other thing.
Yeah. So don't you just like it when, or I think it's the best when your customer finds you and lets you know what they want you to make. It just makes your life so much easier.
It really is, because I was making them and I like making the journals, but I don't actually like using them.
Oh.
Like once it's made, I'm like, that's pretty. I like looking at it.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to write in it.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do with it now? You
so,
know.
Vanessa, just for anyone who doesn't know exactly, can you tell us what exactly is a junk journal and how is it different from the regular lined journals that I think most people are familiar with?
Sure. It's basically, they started off as, you get all the junk mail. Like when they were very first, like the concept came around, it was people taking their junk mail, putting it into a bound format, and then like painting over the pages or doing collages and doing artwork with it. And it's become something where like all of mine, with the exception of the one that's currently in my shop, I age the pages so they look vintage. And then a lot of them, I do them with themes because I just like it better that way. I did one that was like Halloween themed. So all of the pages had bats and, skeletons and creatures. And a lot of times I did one with the ocean. So everything was dyed blue. And I had seashells, and they've got stamps. They have these, they call them tuck spots. So it's basically like a pocket on the page for you to put tickets or a note to yourself or that kind of thing. So it's not a straight like blank journal. There's a lot of pictures and art that's in it. And then you add to it. To me, I call them mixed media journals because to me, it's a piece of art that is not finished until you touch it. So like somebody buys it, but it's not really a piece of art until they get their hands on it and use it.
Oh, so it's not necessarily for, traditionally how if you journal, you're writing down your thoughts or, just recapping your day and things like that. It's not necessarily for that. It's more of an activity book.
It's both. I mean, it can kind of be whatever you want it to be. The only one I've ever made that I used was I made one when I was pregnant with my son, and I put like the ultrasound pictures are in it and his hospital bracelets in it. And then there's notes, like I wrote some of like a traditional journal entry. Then there's like another page where it was lists of names when we were trying to figure out what we were going to call him. So it's kind of a collection of, it could be just a straight journal. It could be an activity thing where you go in and, like I did one where I did line work inside and you could color it. But it kind of is whatever you want it to be.
Okay. Does it need to be preserved in any special way?
No, they're really not made to be. I mean, mine aren't. If mine are made like IT stain the paper, that's definitely not going to be preserved well.
Okay. All right. So you started off with soap. You thought soap was what you were going to do, and your market told you differently. And you ended up switching and going in the direction your market was. How did you learn how to make specific products? Like, from what I can tell, I think that the planner market and accessories for planners is very popular. So how did you learn how to make the specific ones you're making, but make them different enough that you stand out in that niche?
That part is the part that I still struggle with sometimes. I looked at I mean, you go online, you look at what other people are doing so that you know, okay, well, I shouldn't do this because that would be, I'm really like AR about, I don't want to copy somebody
Yeah.
else. And like, I have some packs that are made for happy planners because I love planners, but they don't love me.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, like, I make a list and I put it in the planner and then I misplace the planner.
Oh, okay.
So it's just that I look for planners and I never find one that actually works the way I want it to. And then I discovered bullet journaling. And now I have like 9 of those because basically you do whatever you want to make it work for you.
Okay.
And I was using my planner stickers for that. And in that respect, you get a lot more freedom with how you can use stickers.
Okay.
So that I started off with the happy planner stuff and I went and looked and I was like, okay, these are the types of kits people are putting together. And I went and bought the happy planner and was like, this is cool. I can use this. And I made some planner packs and I measured all the boxes so that it was, you know, the right size. And I made the icon stickers and I enjoy making those, but at the same time, it's one format all the time.
Yeah.
And you just have to make it fit in the box kind of to me. And I was like, this is boring. I don't really like doing this as much as I thought I would. And I like the ones where I can just draw a cookie and it can be a sticker. And I can use that in my bullet journal. So I sort of have gone that route. I still have the happy planner kits, but I'm focusing more on just stickers that could be used for lots of things, mostly for decoration or the bullet journal.
Okay.
Because I just find that better for me personally.
And the Happy Planner, is that a brand of planner like the...
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a community around that then?
Oh, yes. There's a big community around that.
Okay. Do you tap into that community as part of your strategy in marketing your products?
I have in the past, yes. I haven't been very good about it lately.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. So it seems to me that one of the things that you're good at is, one, following your passion and doing what you enjoy doing. How would you say that that affects, and not in a bad way, but both good and struggle sometimes, what you're doing on Etsy, pivoting to find just that right blend of what you enjoy doing and what gets your creativity flowing, but also what the market wants?
I think the hardest part is you can't. I have what I tell my kids, my students, and my friends. I'm like, I have art ADD. Like, I can't focus on any. Like, you start one thing and then you're like, oh, this looks really cool. Let me try that.
Yes.
You can't really do that so much with Etsy if you want to be like, you can change what you're doing and add to it. Which is kind of why I called it NessieCraft instead of like Nessie stickers. Because I was like, well, if I do NessieCraft and then I decide I want to add something later, it still fits because I crafted it.
Yeah.
But I have found that you really have to stick with, like, if I'm going to do stickers, then I need to stick with the stickers and stay in that community and stay active in it. If I'm going to, because like the sticker community and the community that buys junk journals don't usually overlap. So you have to be aware of that and be willing to spend the time in both places.
And that's rough, I can imagine, because it's like switching between two brain train tracks.
It can be, yes. And you can't like fall off the wagon with one, because 2020 was a weird year for everyone, myself included. And I kind of fell off the wagon in terms of being active online in those communities. And it showed, because I was doing much better when I was, online. But in 2020, nobody really needed a planner. Because nobody was really going anywhere.
Yes,
so,
that's so true.
And I quit my job in January because my son had some health issues and I needed to stay home with him because he couldn't go to daycare anymore. And so I was trying to figure out how all of that was going to work.
Yeah. And
then the pandemic hit. And, if he can't go to the daycare because he's sick all the time, he really can't go outside.
Yeah.
So it sort of, it made everything more difficult, and I kind of lost the focus of going and participating in those communities. So I've had to get back on the wagon, and it's much harder once you fall off.
Yeah, I know.
So that would be my advice, is that even if you can only like devote 5 minutes a day to flipping through whatever group you're in, because that's what your focus is, just do the 5 minutes, because that's better than nothing.
Okay. And for you in particular, where do these communities hang out? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram, Twitter, or are there like some other places where you go to just be a part of what's going on?
I focus for the junk journals and for my planner stickers both. Actually, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups.
Okay.
Sometimes too many Facebook groups. It's gotten a little intense, and I had to go through and pick the ones that I really wanted to stick with.
Yeah, I did that recently too.
Yeah, because you can be like inundated.
Yeah.
And forget what the rules are for posting and all that kind of stuff. So I had to like make myself a spreadsheet.
Wow.
Because I'm a little OCD when it comes to that kind of stuff. That I didn't want to break anybody's rules. It's the teacher in me coming out going, okay, the rules are this, we have to follow them.
Yeah.
But mostly those hang out on Facebook.
Okay. So when you first opened your store and over time, I imagine, and just based on what you've said, that the way you view your shop and its goal has changed over time. Right now, what would you say the goal for your shop is? Where are you setting your sights to with your shop, with your business, and with what you do?
Right now, my goal is to try and grow my shop enough till I can bring in a little bit of extra money every month, because I'm not working out of the home anymore. It was a big difference in things when I had to quit and didn't have a paycheck coming in anymore. So before, where it was a fun hobby that I'd like to someday turn into a business, it was like one of those vague long-term goals.
Yeah.
Now it's one of those like, this would really be helpful, so we're really going to work at this.
Yeah.
And I've tried to work more on that, and sometimes I have too many eggs in one basket. I'm also doing like I'm a Disney travel planner, and I have a food blog, and I really need to pick something and stop getting on top of other things. But yeah, I mean, that's the goal, is that it will eventually, help pay for some extra things.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the entrepreneur spirit is, I think if you talk to 5 entrepreneurs, I think all 5 will tell you, right, either at that point in time or right before, or they're about to get into something else. I hardly know of anyone who is doing just one thing.
Well, that makes me feel better, because
yeah. Yes. And, you hear that term, where people are encouraging you to have multiple streams of income. I think it's hard, definitely, because, especially when the different streams are almost like in different countries where, one thing has no connection to another. But yes, it's also smart to, like you said, not keep all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
What does a typical day look like for you now? How do you manage your time, between your home responsibilities and also working on ramping up your business on Etsy?
I don't know if any day is typical. Well,
not with a 2-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, with a 2.5-year-old, and I'm pregnant with the next one. So
oh yeah,
things are a little hectic at the moment. But mostly he wakes up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I wish I could be one of those people where he'd sleep till 7 and I could get up early and get accomplished something, but that doesn't happen usually. But we get up. I try and check my email on my phone while I'm making his breakfast, because I try to make sure that I'm still paying attention to him. Because, he's 2. He doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
So basically, like, if he's busy and we're doing something and he can occupy himself with his Legos or something for 5 minutes. I'll check my messages, or I'll try and work on a listing. Lately, it's been different this month because I actually just did a Kickstarter for a coloring book. And I'm finishing that up. I have like 3 more drawings left to do, and then I'm sending it to the publisher. So hopefully that should go out like mid-August. So I'm very excited about that because that's been one of the long-term, like, I'd like to do this someday thing, and I didn't actually think the Kickstarter would like make, and it did. So it was one of those, like, I was updating everyone every 5 minutes.
Wait, so how does that work? Well, I know what Kickstarter is, and for anyone who doesn't, it's a crowdfunding project, I guess, where you raise money to do a project that you want to do, and then everyone who supports you benefits from having supported you in this project.
Yes.
So how did it work? Tell us how you did that. Why a coloring book? Why a Kickstarter campaign?
To be honest, I did the Kickstarter because I had seen, there were 2 or 3 other artists I follow, and they had done, I think one was a washi tape Kickstarter that I bought into, and one was something else that I can't even remember that. How bad is that? Might have been an art book that just came. That's why I didn't remember what it was.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, it was one of those things that I like put on my notes for, hey, look into this later. And I've had people tell me, I do these, I call them doodles. I guess you'd call them Zen tangling.
Oh, yes.
I've been doing those since I can like remember, and I just did them for fun. I used to sit when I had to do SOL testing as a teacher, and we were allowed to have a piece of paper. And if you've ever had to do SOL testing, it's mind-numbingly boring to sit for 3 hours while they take a test.
What does SOL stand for?
Not what you think, although it should.
Oh, okay.
It's Standards of Learning. It's the Virginia State test.
Oh, okay.
Someone chose very poorly when they chose that acronym.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I forgot that people not from Virginia don't know what that really means. But, I would sit and do that. And I had a coworker once that was like, can you draw me one of those and put my son, her son or her daughter, I can't remember which, one of her children was getting married, and she wanted me to draw one and put their names and their wedding date inside in the middle.
Oh.
And she paid me $10, and I was like, sure, I'm just sitting here doing this testing anyway. Like, okay. Because, you get up, you walk around for 2 minutes, check and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and you go back and draw for 5 minutes. And it didn't connect, I guess, at the time that was a thing that people might actually be interested in. And I had some pieces put in a local art show, and I was like, well, these went over better than I thought they would, because one of them was one of those that I had colored digitally. And I was like, I didn't actually think they'd take it, because I was convinced that it wasn't that, because, I think somebody on your podcast earlier had said, you're never as good as you think you should be.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. And I was like, nobody's going to want this, but I'll submit it anyway. And after that, I was like, well, maybe I can try this. So I posted, I had started doing them digitally just for fun on my iPad. And I was like, well, I'll stick them up there. And I put the Kickstarter up with 3 of the drawings that I had done, and I had a bunch of other ones. And I got more interest than I thought I would.
Wow.
So I was like, well, coloring book would be fun, because I had several people, when I posted pictures like that on my Instagram page, would comment and say, oh, this would make a great coloring page. And, at the time I had sort of been like, yeah, okay, and moved on. But that's really where the idea came from, was when I looked back, I was like, people said this on several of these, so maybe there's something to that.
Yeah. Okay, so you raised the money through the Kickstarter campaign, and then you use that to publish the coloring book, and then you give it to the people who supported you. Are you then able to sell it still after, so that you can start to make a profit from it? You
can, if you mine actually made a little bit more than I asked for.
Oh, what happens in those cases?
You get whatever money you raise. Kickstarter is basically like you know, as long as you make your minimum requirement and you pay them their fee, they transfer the money to you, and after that the ball's in your court.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I did I think 4 tiers. One was a digital coloring page, and it's one of those where every progressive tier gets all of the things from the one before it. So like everybody got a digital coloring page. The next tier got the digital page and the coloring book. And then it was the digital page, the coloring book, and an art print. And then it was 2 coloring books, an art print, the digital coloring page, and a pack of mystery stickers. So I have to get all of that put together, and then you mail it out. And then whatever's left over, like I have a little bit of extra money, so I actually was able to order more coloring books than I thought I was going to. So those extras I can then put in my Etsy shop.
Okay. That was my next question, was where can you sell them? And so with the way you did it, will you only have a finite number of books published, or can you just keep publishing as demand for the book grows?
I set it up so that like it's not an exclusive. There will only ever be this many. My art prints I set up as being these are exclusive to the Kickstarter.
Okay.
So I guess I will have extras of those because I didn't sell all of, or I guess sell is a loose term, but I had like 50 rewards set up that would cover that. So there's 50 art prints, and I didn't have 50 people sign up. So there's some extras. I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet.
Okay.
I've seen other Kickstarter people like offer them as an exclusive, like a flash sale on their Instagram kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So that it's not posted long term, but they can still get rid of them.
Right.
So I haven't decided about that one yet.
So I have a question for you, and I know this is going to sound from left field, but have you ever heard of Amazon KDP?
I have heard of it. I haven't used it.
You said you have used it or you have not?
I have not.
Okay. Look into it.
Okay.
And we can talk more about it outside of the podcast. But for anyone who is curious, if you can create things like coloring pages and make enough of them to make at least a 20-page book, because Amazon's KDP requires a minimum of 20 pages. You can actually use Amazon's KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, which it's not on the Kindle. What Amazon does is they will print your book on demand. So if somebody wants to buy a coloring book, once they pay for it, then Amazon will print it and then send it to them. So you never have to keep any physical inventory. You just have to provide the files to Amazon, and they do all the bookbinding and all that. And you retain 100% of your copyrights to the book or whatever. You can pull it off Amazon anytime. But I thought of that because right now coloring books are very popular. And different types of coloring books. The mandala Zentangle coloring books were really popular for a while. That they become kind of saturated unless you can create a theme around them, and then you can really do well on Amazon KDP. So just something to think about for you and anyone else who does make coloring pages. And if you have questions about it, you, Vanessa, or anyone listening, send me an email, and we can talk more about it, or I can do an episode on it, because I do sell on there, and it has been good for me. So I didn't
realize you could do coloring. I knew you could do like self-publishing. I didn't know you could do coloring book type things.
Oh yes, yeah. There's so much you can do. That's like a whole different episode, but. As it's not completely Etsy related, but it kind of is, because again, not to keep all your eggs in one basket. Etsy is great, but there are other places that with your talent and your skills, you can make money. continuously. Like, some of the books I made 2 years ago, till this day, I'm still getting payments for them. And that's just because people are still buying. So don't overlook Amazon.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
We might have to talk.
Okay, we will talk.
Yeah.
Now, how do you determine how much to charge for what you make? Because you have both digital and physical products. How do you determine the pricing for each one?
I wish I could tell you that I had this like really awesome formula for that.
Yeah, nobody's ever going to have that formula.
Yeah, no. I have this tendency to look at the digital stuff, and I know you're not supposed to, but I make it once and then I post it.
Yeah.
And to me, I price them what I would consider on the lower end a lot of times, because to me, I've only put in the effort that one time.
Mm.
So that's passive, and there's some things on there that I'm like, I probably should charge more for this, but it's there. I try and make sure that I'm covering my fees, which Etsy's fees I find confusing sometimes, and if I think too hard about it, I just confuse myself.
Oh, I finally figured out Etsy fees. I cracked the code, but go on.
Then you have to explain it to me, because every time I think I've got it, I read something else and go, what? But for the planner stickers, I did go through and like actually spend some time and try and figure out, okay, every sheet of sticker paper costs me X amount.
Right.
I don't really factor in the time it took me to put them together, just because the computer work for me is fast. I mean, like if it's the Happy Planner stickers, I have a template. I make whatever graphics, I drop them in. So for me, that part doesn't really take that long.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to figure out how much the printer ink costs, but that just is enough to make your head explode.
Oh
sometimes.
Man, yeah.
So I just sort of picked a number, like 50 cents or something, and went with it.
Okay.
And I tried to look at what other people were charging.
Yeah.
And be competitive. I didn't want to be too low or too high, so I tried to pick somewhere that seemed right in the middle and still lined up with, okay, it's costing me this much to make it. The only thing I don't do is, I know there are some people that will like mail stickers with just a regular postage stamp, and I like tracking.
Yeah.
Because then I know where it is, and so does the person who bought it. And I don't have to deal with, well, I mailed it 6 days ago, but it could be somewhere in the universe.
Yeah.
So I always do tracking. So sometimes I try and make sure that it's not going to be like $2 less than the shipping, because that just seems silly.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's the way it works out. With the junk journals, it's a little bit more intense because there's a lot of pieces and there's a lot of time that goes into those. So those are pricey, because those I actually try and pay attention to. Okay, it took me, a week to make this.
Oh. And
it took, just dyeing the paper, even if I do the dyeing in like one bulk session, will take me all day. To dye enough paper to do like 2 books. So that one I try and pay attention to. I collect things all the time, so I can't like say this piece cost me 10 cents, but I try and go through and say, okay, it took me this much time. So I'm going to say it costs, X amount per hour, and try and do it that way.
Okay.
I hope that answered the question. I didn't get off on a tangent.
Oh, no, not at all. It did. Yes, it did answer the question. And one of the things I was going to ask was if you ever look at the competition, but you said something that did catch my attention with your pricing. When you look at others who sell similar items, you try not to be the lowest or the highest. And I'm curious, why, is there any reason in particular you would rather not be at the higher end?
I think if it's something that I thought justified, like if I thought I had like this like whiz bang idea that was just awesome, then yes, I would go the higher end. But if I'm one of those weird people that's like, I would really like you to buy it because you like it, not because it's the cheapest one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And I've always worried about pricing things too high.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I don't know, it's that, what is it, imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Where you think you shouldn't. And sometimes I struggle with that idea that, well, maybe it's not,
not good enough to
don't
charge what.
Yeah.
I get
I'm
that.
always a perfectionist with things, so like I can find something wrong with everything.
Yeah. Yes.
Even when there's nothing wrong, because I'll look at my husband and be like, "What do you think?" And he's like, "I don't really see what you're talking about." It's fine. You know. So I think that's probably why it's not the highest.
Okay. And that makes sense. I get that too. Have you ever had to deal with any disputes or feedback that wasn't the best?
I've never had a dispute, but I have to say, I think it was either the day that I got your email saying that you were gonna interview me, or the day after I had like a 1-star review.
One?
Yeah, it was one of those, like, and I
Ouch.
was like, well, that's like both ends of the spectrum right there.
Oh.
Well, and it was one of those that I looked at, and I sent her an email and said, I'm really sorry that you aren't happy with this. I'll try it. She was not happy. She bought budget label stickers. I make stickers for the budget envelopes.
Okay.
Which are one of those things that I didn't think anybody would want. Those are one of the top things that I sell at my shop. And I've never had a complaint about them before, but she said they were misleading. Size was misleading. And I thought that it was all well explained, but I'm going to go back and retake all the photos for the listing. I was in the process of doing that anyway, but I never got any response back to my message. But that was the feedback. So I was like, oh, okay.
Did she ever communicate with you after you reached out to her?
No, I haven't heard anything, and she didn't contact me before the review.
Ugh, that's the worst.
Because I'd have tried to fix it. If you contact me, I'll try and fix it.
Of course.
But she never responded, and she never contacted me. So I was like, I can't do anything else.
Yeah. Ouch. Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, those hurt, but
Yeah, but I think, just being in business, I think all of us. Sorry, what did you say?
I said you can't please everyone.
No, you can't. And if you haven't yet come across a customer that you can't make happy, just hold on. They're coming.
Oh, yes.
And you want to, for any new sellers out there who are, scared about the day somebody will not be happy. You want that day to come, and you want it to come quickly, because then it helps you figure out just how to move forward. One, from dealing with negative feedback or less than stellar feedback. And two, sometimes a lot of times I should say, there's something you can learn. Like in Vanessa's case, well, she said it wasn't, what she thought it was going to be or what have you. And at the very least, now you're thinking you can go back and be maybe more detailed in the description or whatever it was that she didn't pick up on in the listing. And that's a good thing, because even though it's already a popular seller, imagine how many more sales you're going to get when people are able to get even more information, more descriptive information based on this experience. So I think it could be a good thing.
I hate that I never was able to get her to answer me, because I would have liked to have known exactly. Like, she just said something about size, and I was like, okay, well, I was going to retake all the listing photos anyway, so now I know I need to, do something where it's near a notebook or something like that.
Yeah, or a coin or something familiar so people can gauge size. Yeah. I figured that out with one of the supplies I sell too. Was even though I had the dimensions in the listing, nobody really visualizes the dimensions when you put them down in facts and figures. But if you put a ruler or a coin or an apple, then they're like, oh, okay, I know what size it is.
Yes, that's why I was like, I think I've seen somewhere they put the small stickers on the end of a pencil or something. So I'm like, well, I guess we'll do something along those lines to try and fix it for next time.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those live and learn moments.
Yes, there's always something.
Always something. So we talked earlier about how you find the communities that that you create products for. How else do you promote your Etsy shop, or how else do you drive traffic to your listings?
I have tried Etsy ads.
Oh, how did those go?
I usually get 1 or 2 sales when I try it, and I'm very like super conservative, so it's like $1 a day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because my prices are pretty low for the stickers anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had great success with that. Usually I end up spending more than I make with the ads.
Mm-hmm.
If I make anything off of an ad.
Mm-hmm.
I've paid for Facebook ads. That one did not pan out. The one time I tried that, I was like, this was kind of a disaster.
Did you know what you were doing, or did you
Not
just...
really.
Yeah.
I had listened to a podcast where they tried to explain it, so I tried to follow the directions, and I was like, I think I'm doing this all wrong.
Yeah. I did that too. I was like, oh my goodness. And then I forgot to turn off the payment. I turned off the campaign. And one day I heard my phone, because it was attached to my PayPal. I heard a PayPal thing, notification. I'm like, I didn't buy anything. And I almost died when I saw it.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, I don't like the fact, too, that even if you only do like 3 days, it takes a whole month to be built.
Yes. And that was the thing was, it didn't come, the payment didn't go through right when I stopped the campaign. It came like after.
Yes, I hate that part.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I just want you to take the money now so I know it's gone.
So I know it's gone. Yes. Let's just end this now.
Yes, end the torture and be done. Last year I participated in several group planner sales.
Okay.
And those were either a total bust or I did okay. To me, those were more important for just getting the shop name out there. And I'd like to do some more of those again. I just haven't signed up for any this year yet.
Now, how does that work? What's a group planner sale?
Usually, some of them charge. Okay. Because I wasn't sure how that was going to go. The 2 I did not. I did ones that you didn't have to pay for. You submit. There's usually like a form, and they ask. Some of them have a theme. Some of them are just a general planner sale, and you go in and 1 person or 2 people are usually running it. And you go in, you fill out a form and ask to be included, and they look through your shop and all that kind of stuff. And if you are, usually there is a giveaway and everybody contributes something. You can do shop credit sometimes it's an actual product. Sometimes they do sampler swaps where you swap with other people in the sale and everybody gives out a little, usually the size ranges, but it's usually like a business card size set of stickers. Mm-hmm. So that you're giving out in mine. And sometimes I've done it where it was just because we did a swap. It wasn't through a planner sale. But you mail it to another shop owner. They mail you theirs. And then if I make a sale, I include everyone's sampler as like a freebie.
Wait. So a sampler from everyone in the sale
that wants to participate in it. Sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes it's outside of a sale and you just do it to get your name out to a different set of people.
Okay.
So I've done some of those. I've never usually I include a coupon code on those. But I don't know that I've ever actually gotten a sale from one of those coupon codes.
Okay.
So for me, it was sort of hit or miss as to whether or not that was useful.
Okay. And when you say a group planner, are these Facebook groups?
No, it's just a group planner sale, as in it's a group of shop owners that have come together to run a sale together.
Oh, okay. And you're all on Etsy?
Yes.
How do you find yourselves?
I'm in 3 or 4 different Etsy sticker shop owner site groups on Facebook.
Oh, wow. That's so niche.
It's very, but it's useful because sometimes it's like, oh, hey, I'm having trouble with whatever. If you've ever used a Cricut, there was a lot of problems with that this year. Because they were changing all kinds of things. So people were going on and trying to figure out, what was going on. And if you are having trouble, sometimes you can post to be like, hey, my Cricut's doing this. Have you had this problem before? So it's useful for that sometimes.
Okay.
And to talk through, and if somebody's having a sale because it's their shop's 5th birthday or something, and they'll go in and look for somebody to be like, hey, I'm going to do this big sale. Does anybody want to donate shop credit or something? I'll make sure I advertise it's from your shop.
Oh, nice.
So sometimes there's that kind of stuff that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good to be in because you get to know other shop owners.
Yeah. That sounds a lot more helpful than I know before. And I haven't been in Etsy teams a lot lately. But before, some of the teams that they would were called promotional teams or marketing teams, would just, have everyone post a link to their product, and then you're supposed to go and favorite it, and then favorite all the people above you and all that, which I always thought didn't really accomplish much. But what you're doing in these groups sounds a lot more helpful.
Yes, even if you don't really make any sales, it gets your name out
there
to a different
right.
group of people that you maybe wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Yeah.
I haven't tried the Etsy teams, so I can't say anything about that one.
Yeah, well, they revamped them recently, but I haven't tried them out, and so that was a while ago. I don't know what they're like now, but that was a while ago.
Still, but other than the Facebook groups, I have an Instagram account. I have a YouTube channel where I post videos when I finish the junk journals. I do a flip through of all of the journals. And then I have a TikTok. TikTok just confuses me.
Really? More than Instagram?
Oh, yes. Well, see, okay. So this is my guilty, I guess, my shame-faced confession. I had a viral video for something, and I went from 100 followers to 900 followers in the last 3 weeks.
Whoa.
The video has nothing to do with stickers or art, okay? I just posted it as a hey, I was running out of tissue paper because I use a very specific color when I package all of my stuff. And I was running out, and I figured everybody knew this, but I needed something to post on TikTok because I was trying to be consistent.
Yeah.
Which is hard. And it was ironing tissue paper flat because I don't want to put wrinkled tissue paper because that's how I wrap all of my stuff.
Yeah.
So it was just this 15-second video about you can iron tissue paper. Oh my God. The comments ranged from oh my God, what is wrong with you? To this is the most amazing thing ever. People were having arguments in the comment section, and I'm like, where did this come from? I can't get anybody to watch my actual art videos, but I've gotten I think it was 900,000 views when I looked the other day, and I was like, I can't even. I've stopped reading the comments because I just can't.
What?
Yes, I was like, this is what I'm going to go viral for? Are you kidding me?
That is wild. Okay, so I recently got a TikTok account, and I have to say those are the types of videos that do catch my attention. Where it's just something so random. I'll tell you one that I think I helped, not just me, but a whole bunch of people. This guy was showing how to remove, if you use a frying pan and it gets burnt, how to use vinegar and Dawn and something else to remove the burnt, the dark thing, and then it's I tell you, brand new. I watched that 5 times because I went to try it, and it works. So I get it. I don't know what his channel ordinarily is about.
Well, now I'm gonna have to go find that. You know that, right?
But yes, those are the best TikToks because it's whoa, you can do that.
I wasn't expecting. I was like, I'm gonna post this, and I was getting an average of 100 views or something on a video, and I was like, I'll get 10, it'll be fine. It's just something to post today until I post something tomorrow, and then it was what just happened?
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so but did that translate into more traffic to your shop or any sales or anything like that? I know it was unrelated, but was there any residual positive effect on your shop?
I have gotten a bunch of favorites, but I don't know if it's related to that. I can't say that I've gotten any sales from that.
Yeah. That's hard to track.
I mean, it has been really recent, so maybe, but I'm going to say probably not.
Okay. Well, at least now all those people who are following you will get to see all your future videos. And
that's what I took out of it. I looked at my husband and I was like, at least people are following me. So when I post something else,
yes,
they will see it.
Yeah. And I have to say, I like Instagram. I'm okay with it. It's never really like I struggle with Instagram. For me, it seems hard. And I know for some people, it just comes so naturally, like, especially if you like taking pictures, which I don't. If you like making things look all nice and flowery, which I don't.
Yes.
It doesn't work for me. And what I sell doesn't lend itself well to the whole Instagram, what's that word?
Yes, the algorithm and
it's not Instagram worthy, if you will.
Yes, I have a hard time with the fact that everything has to be curated.
Yes, thank you. Nobody's curating crafting supplies or such things.
I'm with you. I have a hard time with that part. I've kind of not been great about Instagram lately because they don't look the same. The only thing I've tried to do is I really want to try some studio videos because we are in the process of trying to turn my garage into a studio so that I actually have space to do something.
That will work.
Yeah, well, and I'm like, okay, well, if I can do that, we could do studio videos.
Yes.
But I'm not good at video at all.
Well, you don't have to be, because I think, and for me on Instagram, except I'm just not consistent, I feel like I do better with the live videos, not going live. I tried to go live and I messed up big time. But posting videos as opposed to posting pictures or stories, because the videos tend to just get more engagement and more views for some reason. I don't know why. And
they do. I tried Reels for the first time this month.
Oh yeah, how did that go?
Or last month. I got way more views on that than I ever got just on general Instagram. So I was like, okay, this is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And that was the point. I was like, okay, whatever I post on TikTok, I post in Reels.
Yes.
So that I don't have to do it twice.
Exactly. And actually that was, Instagram is heavily pushing, at the time of this recording, heavily pushing Reels, because it's their clapback to TikTok. And so I think that's why, because yes, I've done a few Reels, and the same thing, the viewership on Reels is unreal. But for some reason, and I think that's why I like TikTok, is because, for two reasons. One, video. I feel like I can do video better if I'm just talking and sharing information. I think that's what I do best, is share information. And so I like that aspect of it. And two, I like that you're capped at 60 seconds. You can't do anything longer than 60 seconds. I'm like, great. I don't need to talk for a whole minute anyway. So I'm enjoying TikTok for that reason. And yeah,
I'm with you on that. I can do short.
Yes, I can do short, sweet, done. And nothing is ever produced or overproduced, or in fact they're so, what's the word, there's such low production value, and that keeps me consistent with it because I don't have to do much. I mean, I try to look decent, but I don't always.
See, I've made a point of not being in it because then I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, well, I have nothing to show. I'm just sharing information. So I'm like, brush your hair. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, see, that's the hard part. That's why I'm like, if I do a studio video on YouTube, I actually have to put on makeup.
Yeah. Yes. So Vanessa, what are some things about selling on Etsy that right now you're really enjoying? And then what are some things that, as you look to the future, you would like to do better or maybe do differently, I should say?
I really like the ease of use. I mean, Etsy is not hard to figure out. So if you're thinking about it and you're on the fence and you're convinced that you're not a tech person, like anybody can figure it out. So I like it's pretty intuitive. It doesn't take, rocket science to figure out what you need to put where. I like that aspect of Etsy. I like that they cover all of the credit card, handling all of that part. I don't have to do that part. That part is really important to me because I don't have the brain power to do that right now. So that is really nice. The things what things I would like it to do?
Yeah, like what would you want to do better or differently rather?
I have to improve on my SEO and my descriptions. I need to improve. If you want my laundry list, I've got a list of things that are my product photography I was doing really well for a while, and then I don't know what I was doing. I tried to be different and take the easy way and do the digital mock-ups. I don't know if that's not the right word, but I bought some stock photos of the tabletop, and you just insert your piece on there.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's because I did it, but it just looks fake to me.
Oh, because I see that all the time. I know exactly what you're talking about. The ones that I have done, I haven't been happy with. That's part of the reason I'm going to go back and take all the photos again. Some of them I'm happy with, and some of them I keep looking at it and going, it's just not right yet. So my product photography, I've got to go fix. Okay. And the SEO, I tried, what is it called? E-Rank. Oh yeah.
At one point, and I guess I think it was just me. I wasn't really using it the way I should have been.
Right.
But I tried the one that you posted about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Sales Samurai.
That one. I keep trying to call it Ninja in my head, not Samurai.
Me too. I don't blame you.
But I've tried that one, and that one's been very helpful. So I've gone and changed some SEO stuff, but it hasn't been long enough yet.
Okay.
To know, if what I've done is making a difference.
Yeah.
Because I've also tried it on my dad's Etsy shop on a couple of his listings.
Was it
and
helpful?
On his, there's for one of his listings, yes, I think so.
Okay.
Because he got some more traffic that he wasn't having before.
Okay.
But his is really easy because he doesn't have as many listings on his, and his is really specific. So changing his SEO, I can see the difference a lot better than I can on my own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I'm glad you brought that up because talk about laundry list, one of my to-dos is actually to make a video to show how I use Sales Samurai, because it really has helped me with the SEO aspect, just finding good, non-congested niches, but also tags and search terms that are pulling in traffic. And so I need to buckle down and make that video and post it, because I think it will help. Because I think this particular tool is different in that way. But sorry, go ahead.
Yes, and I'm going to try and use it too. I wanted to try when I was looking it up, because with planner stickers, I kind of get on a one-track mind when I'm doing SEO, so I end up using the same keywords over and over and over again. And I do the same thing for the hashtags on Instagram. So I'm actually going to try and take some of the terms that I found on the Sales Samurai and try and use them as hashtags and see if it makes a difference on Instagram.
That's a good idea. I hadn't even thought about using them on Instagram, because I don't know if you do this too, but I have one document where one day I did Instagram hashtag research, and I haven't done it again for a long time, and I'm using the same ones, which I know are outdated. But
I do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so same thing. I just reuse the same ones. But recently I was like, okay, I need to stop this because this is probably not working anymore.
Yes. Well, and at some point you're like, I really should use a different hashtag, but these are already written.
Yes.
And it's so much faster to copy and paste.
I was just about to say, I can just copy and paste this and be done.
Yep.
And I have to say, that's one of the other things I do like about TikTok is that they actually recommend you don't use more than 5 or 6 hashtags. And
yes, I just read that somewhere.
yeah. So I'm like, good. That means I can think about what I'm putting, what hashtags I'm using. I don't have to, because with Instagram, you know, they're like 30 and use all 30. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so many. But 5, 6, I like it.
Yes, I like fewer is you actually have to think it through instead of just going, where's my document?
Yeah. Yeah. And just before we get off the Sales Samurai, I will put a link to Sales Samurai for anyone who wants to test it out. And if you do end up, you get a 3-day trial where you don't have to pay for it. But if you end up liking it and you want to subscribe to it, I have made what do you call it? An agreement with the developer, Neil, who was on the podcast, that if you use the code Etsy Conversations, and I'll put it in the show notes just to make sure that's the right code, you'll get 20% off whatever subscription level, either monthly or annually, forever. And I'll make sure I put the information in the show notes for the episode. But I do believe it's Etsy Conversations. That's the code. That's the one I use it almost every day. I've started 2 new Etsy shops just based on the data I got from that. And things are going well. Again, I have to do a video, but I'm not going to take up Vanessa's time because we're still talking Vanessa. So Vanessa, what tools do you use or resources that you find particularly helpful in running your shop?
The one I use pretty much every day, I have Google Keep on my phone.
Google Keep?
Yes, and I like it because it I can just go to, if I'm on my desktop, I can go to it there, or on my phone, and like if I make a note on the desktop, it appears on my phone. So and I have it on my iPad too, so like it goes everywhere. So if I make a note, it's always there.
Huh. So Google Keep is like what's that? Evernote.
I think so. I've never used Evernote, so.
Oh, neither have I.
Yes.
But it sounds like the functionality is similar. Okay.
It's like a virtual Post-it note kind of thing.
Oh, okay. And is it?
And I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Is it integrated into all the other Google apps? So
yes, it's a Google app. You can actually, I think it is you can put it on Chrome.
Okay.
I usually just type keep.google because I have too many apps on my Chrome.
Oh, okay. Okay, I have to look into that. So Google Keep. All right. I'll put that in the notes. Now I have to ask, do you have an Etsy shop shout out? I know you mentioned your dad has an Etsy shop, but
I do.
If you would like to shout him out or anyone else, no pressure.
Oh, let's see. Well, I have 3. Is that too many?
Oh, no, it's not at all.
Okay. Well, my dad's, obviously.
Yeah.
Is Crossway Station Banjos. And he makes from like recycled tins and cigar boxes and all kinds of stuff. He makes functional banjos.
Oh, wow. Like they'll play real music?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
He also does all kinds of woodworking, but I haven't been able to convince him to put any of that up there yet, but I'm working on it.
Oh, that will be very popular.
And then I have Louise McGinnis runs Otherworldly Soap.
Otherworldly Soap?
Yes.
Okay.
And she just makes pretty things. We met actually at a writers' conference like several years ago and keep up with each other on Etsy.
Oh, nice. Is she in your local area too?
She is. She's in Hampton Roads area. She's in Chesapeake.
Oh, nice.
And then the other one actually, I was like my moment of fangirling and flattering because I had found her in Gatlinburg, but I'd found her online first. And it's Kimberly and I'm going to get this wrong, so I wrote it down. Hold on.
Okay.
It's Love Life, Live Life, because I always say it wrong.
Love Life, Live Life. What does Kimberly
Yes.
sell?
It's fused glass jewelry.
Ooh.
But I was like having a serious moment when I went into her shop in Gatlinburg and bought something, and she like knew who I was.
How?
And remembered that I had an Etsy shop and stuff. And whenever I buy something, because I have bought several things, she always writes a note in there.
Oh.
So I was always like super flattered and, like, you're someone who does what I wish I could do and has a shop and everything.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So is her shop, her physical shop, an offshoot of or connected with her Etsy shop?
Her Etsy shop actually is an offshoot of the physical shop, I think.
Okay.
She didn't have as much in the Etsy shop until 2020 hit, and now she's got lots of stuff up there all the time.
Okay.
But I like her stuff because it's fused glass, but it's usually like whatever she makes is a one-off. So if you see it and you like it, you should buy it because it probably won't.
Yeah.
Love
that. Okay, so 3 Etsy shop shout outs, and I'm going to link to all 3 shops. Crossway Station Banjos, that's Vanessa's dad's shop. Otherworldly Soap is Louise McGuinness's shop, and then Love Life, Live Life. So I will have links to all of these. Guys, please go check them out. Definitely also check out Vanessa's store, NessieCraft, which I will link to as well. And Vanessa, I was about to let you go, but you have a website too, right?
I do, but it's in the progress of being created because I'm not quite done with it yet.
Okay. So we'll hold off on your website for now. But when it's ready, probably. That means you're going to have to come back and talk to us about how you built it and how everything went with your website. Right.
Anytime. And you can leave this out if you want, but if anybody's listening and they want to go to the shop, they can use Etsy Convo and get 15% off in the shop.
Oh, I will definitely not leave that out. I will put that in the show notes as well. And that's in NessieCraft.
Yes.
On Etsy. So 15% off using the promo code Etsy Convo.
Yep.
At NessieCraft. Okay. I'm just making notes, so I make sure I put that in the show notes for this episode, which will be available on at convome.com. This will be episode 326, so you can easily find it. Vanessa, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for agreeing to come back again and talk to us on the podcast. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Oh, you're most welcome. And I thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast. I will be back with another episode next week. If you need to connect with me, you can go to convome.com. There's a contact form there. Also, if you want to be my guest on the podcast, there's a Be My Guest page. And I'm on Instagram at Etsy Conversations. And I will be back next week. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.